do something on the MLS, yeah, they do want a cash sale whenever you ask for a cash sale, because that'll put you ahead of the line. And like you said, you need a proof of funds when you deal with them. With homeowners, no one's gonna be like, let me see your proof of funds. I think one homeowner asked me for a proof of funds.
Yeah, probably was a real estate agent.
It was a real estate professional, correct, yeah. So like, that's a good way to start, but still you're gonna need help with those contracts. And one thing Sam said today is how you talk to people. It's, you know, Sam is a great leader because he actually cares. I've seen so many of these people that, you know, just do it for the dollar. He talks about things and I can feel that he really cares, and he is always there when you call him. So I feel like that's a big asset to have, you know. And when I worked for somebody, I stood under their wing. I was with them every day. And Sam asked these people how long they work. I work 36 hours a day and 8 days a week. I work all the time. I'm always at a computer. I'm always thinking about my next step because I'm not comfortable, because I've been poor and I don't want to see that anymore. You know, I'm on this thing and I'm kind of afraid that it's gonna end soon. So I just want to keep going and pushing myself and not stop. You know, I want to break my record of the last month or the last year. You know, so basically that's.
So okay, two things you know that we want to discuss. Assignment. So many people that have been in our VIP programs know we tell them all the time, don't worry about the assignment. It doesn't matter if your contract says assignable or not. We know how to get around it, just like what he's talking about. Obviously, dealing with homeowners direct is a hell of a lot better than dealing with agents, but to us, it doesn't matter whatsoever. Okay, number one. Number two, you brought up another point. You said, what if it ends? Okay, I don't know how long you've been in real estate, but for as long as I've been in it, it will never end. Okay? Why? Because all you gotta do, and you will learn that, you will change your strategy. That's all it is. Okay, you change your strategy from one to the next to the next. As the market changes, you adapt to the new market. So I got news for you. Your game is going to go on for as long as you want.
That's good.
Okay? So, in the meantime, did you do all wholesale or did you do any flips as well?
Well, currently, I have 2 flips going on right now. One in La Puente and one in Glendora.
Why didn't you wholesale those?
Because I've saved up enough money where I can start doing the little flips. I want to put my money in real estate. I don't want it just sitting in the bank.
Right.
You know, there's no profits like that. And one of my investors I built trust with, and that's an important thing he said. He said, you gotta have trust with your investors. It's actually here right now, and you know, he let me partner up with a couple of them. He bought, you know, 20 of them last year, so this year, he probably had a little more trust in me after those 20 deals, you know, so that's basically, you know, you gotta build trust, and then, you know.
So you did wholesaling, you've done a little bit of flipping. What about holding? Do you have any properties that you actually own?
My goal is probably next year to buy some buy and holds. Right now, I'm just trying to save money. I kind of want the market to drop before I do buy some buy and holds in California, because it's a little bit high right now, and it's a, you know, it's a seller's market.
Correct.
So I want to go.
How many of you believe there is a correction around the corner? Okay, we're not talking crash, but a correction, right? Okay, there's going to be a correction.
There will
Okay,
be, yeah.
How much did you make in your full, first full year as a wholesaler?
My first full year, 432,000 gross.
That is awesome.
It is. It's amazing. And I mean, I don't have that money now. I had to pay for a business. I had to
What
pay for
happened to all the
offices.
money?
A lot of it's in real estate right now.
Oh,
I do have a lot of it, but
you
that was gross.
you didn't gamble it away.
Absolutely not.
You did not smoke it away.
I have employees.
I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure that you actually are doing something.
Just a
good.
quarter of it, guys.
Oh,
Just a quarter.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad. Okay, so that's awesome. Any questions for Amir before I, go there? Okay, Andrew.
Was there a commonality in these deals you would say that you initially were able to get under contract with property owners, whether it be location, type of seller, value of property?
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Let's repeat the question.
Yes,
Just
so
want to make sure everybody. Andrew's question is there a commonality amongst all of these transactions? Maybe the location, maybe something about the owners, or something that would create a commonality between them. Was there? That's a good question, Andrew. What was the commonality?
I have a lot of different ways to get leads. So there's so many ways to get leads. I'm sure you guys heard them all. I've tried them all too. But in commonality in the property and the situation, no. I mean, they're all different. They're new.
Wow.
You got to come at them as a new entity every time, because everyone has a different problem. I've learned. When you sit down in front of someone, if you're not listening, you're not going to get the deal done. You got to hear their problem, so then you can come with a solution. So basically, I go in with an empty mind. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to think like, oh, last one went like this one's going to go like this. I try to go in with a clear mind, yes.
Right, so every deal stands on its own.
It does.
And
yes.
the deal, and there, I bet you there's never been two exactly the same kind of deal.
No, everything is different.
Because there's never exactly two kinds of people out there in the world. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. There may be similarities, but they're never
Of course,
the same.
with the properties, of course, there's similarities, like the
Right.
work it needs, or maybe, like it's a situation where someone had passed away. I've dealt with a couple of those. That might be
Right.
a commonality, like a probate situation.
Right, so you did
Which
say-
it gets tough when you deal with probates and stuff like this, because there's a lot of contracts, there's lawyers, then there's courts that you gotta deal with. So,
Right.
I mean, it gets difficult. That's why you need a mentor.
So you're
Yeah.
not limiting yourself to only one type of acquisition.
Absolutely
Probates,
not.
foreclosures, distressed homeowners.
REO, whatever,
any-
short sale,
whatever.
whatever. A homeowner is most important, yeah.
Right.
Like a homeowner that is in need of help. And these people that do call you when you put your leads out there, they're calling you for a reason. So all you gotta do is go over there and help them. That's it. And it works. Maybe
Okay.
10, that's what I do every day. I go to people's homes. So like I have a car that I bought that's wrapped in my business. I have business cards and I go over there and I let them know who I am. I let them know what I can do for them. And sometimes people, they just don't want to deal with you. So you don't push, and you just try to help them. And sometimes I give advice to people when, they're not even going to give me their house, because I just want to be a nice guy, like Sam over here, and that's going to help you out.
Yeah, being nice doesn't mean that you don't, it doesn't mean that you're not interested in making money.
No.
I always talk about don't try to persuade people, just educate them. There's a huge difference between education, okay, and persuasion. Huge difference, okay? Just educate them, encourage them. You don't need to you don't need to promote anything. You don't need to persuade anybody. Education and encouragement. Two things you got going for yourself. I bet you did that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so good. Any question relative to what we're asking?
Yes.
Yes, David.
Two-part question. One is which leads have best worked for you, and number two, which leads are you going after?
Well, they're kind of both the same, right?
Oh, are you sending postcards, yellow letters, knock on the doors, and who are you going after?
Yeah, I do
Hold
direct
on, hold
mail.
on. Did everybody get the question? Was he loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough. Okay, so go ahead.
I do, most of my deals are gonna come from the bandit signs and direct mail. And then I do get a lot of word of mouth now, because I've
Well,
done
you've
so
been
many
doing it for
deals.
a while.
You get word of mouth. And then now I have agents that are basically, if I've done a deal with an agent on the MLS, that agent will give me any deal that she gets or he gets in the future. So I get those all the time. It's just a mixture. I'm always getting calls. The more your phone rings, the more deals you're gonna close next week. The more emails you get. So.
And what kind of leads are you going after?
Which ones are your preference? When let's say you get certain leads, which ones have priority?
Well, on the direct mail, I have a campaign that's just going out to people that are with liens, people that are, most of my direct mail campaigns are leads from pre-foreclosures, their liens, and tax liens. Yes.
Okay, when you say pre-foreclosures, are you referring to the ones that the end notice of default
Correct.
has not yet been filed?
Correct.
Okay, so good.
Pre-foreclosure.
All right, so let me ask.
Because if it's a foreclosure, that means someone's working on it.
Okay, how many of you know what bandit signs are? Everybody knows? Okay. Question about bandit signs. How do you deal with any city ordinances regarding bandit signs?
Well, you're gonna get calls from the city, or you might get some calls from neighbors, or someone in that neighborhood saying, "Hey, why are you messing up my neighborhood?" All I do is put it on my route and get someone to take that sign off and choose another area.
Have you been penalized by any?
No, I have not.
The cities
No.
have not called you, threatened you, that, if they see it again.
I'm real good with them. I go and get my guys to go clean them up and try to reuse them. I put them out on the weekends. I have a crew that just does that for me. So if I don't get enough calls every week for that reason, I know that they're not working. So I pretty much automate it.
Would you say bandit signs are the most effective way to basically get leads?
If it's done correctly,
I
which
see.
the route has to be correct, you have to know where to hang them, what intersections, and then you're gonna have to be consistent.
Will you cover that in your workshop?
Absolutely.
Okay, good, thank you. So, okay, Jeff, let's go back to you. Okay, so I know that you are full-time, you have a wife right now.
To find a deal.
To find it.
That's why
Finding
I
the
gotta
deal
find
is
a
the
phone.
most important thing.
Yeah.
Have you found, have you been in a situation where you found a deal that's supposed to be good and it is good, that you were not able to?
Yeah, that's
consummate?
rare. It's rare because it's all about how much energy I want to put in marketing that deal. Today, I have enough investors where I don't have to market nothing. I could send a text to one person and the property's gone. I can't hold on to a property today. But when I first started, yeah, there was a lot of deals that I've got under contract and then I marketed. No one probably trusted me, or I didn't have enough education to put that deal in their hand, or I didn't work hard enough. And I lost the deal because my time was up and I couldn't get a reduction. And the next week I'll see someone else get that deal and actually sell it.
I see.
So that kind of, it frustrates me, but it motivates me to work harder and,
What is
push
the
harder.
average amount of wholesale fee that you're collecting in your
An
deals?
average
Yeah.
is 10,
10,000?
10,
What's the
10,000.
what's the biggest amount that you've collected?
Probably about 40
40,000?
on a single property, yeah.
Wow, that was like a multi-million-dollar property or something?
No, it was a $340,000
You
property.
just got a good deal.
I just got a good deal.
Okay, how do sellers feel and deal with the idea of you getting that kind of a money? Don't they come to you and the owner of the house and say, hey, you just got $40,000 on this property as a, as a fee, why don't I get that money?
Well,
Do they resist that? Have you found any resistance?
There's a couple of people that will balk at your fee, and when they see that, hey, you're getting this, I let them know I'm a consult. That's my consultation fee. I got this thing done for you to get what you wanted, what we agreed upon, and that's it. I mean, that's basically an agreement that we have. It's all in contracts. And the worst they can do is yell and scream, and we have a contract, I'm gonna be calm about it. No one's ever yelled at me. No one's ever like, oh, you got this much. There are people that will ask for a discount or some money back once they see how much is available.
Right.
But, it's done, man. And if I'm working with an investor wants a property and he sees after he agreed to a price, I agreed to a price, and I'm making, say, $10,000, there has been cases where I negotiate back and I'll be like, here's $2,000 more for you. Since you buy properties all the time, I can give you another little discount.
I see.
And I can take it out of my fee. And that's about it.
So the average fee is 10,000. How long? In how long? In how much time?
In a week.
In a week.
Absolutely, yeah. It's almost the time a week.
Okay.
And with hard money people, it's a week. When people do hard money, which most people
And you
do,
only have a week to consummate the transaction. Your contract
most hard
with
money
them?
people, they'll do it in a week.
I see.
And if things go over that week, there's things that you can do. You can get amendments of escrow to extend your escrow time. I mean, you just got to be communicative, and you got to understand, contracts.
Got it. Doug?
How do you evaluate, when you get a property under contract, how do you evaluate your repairs?
How do you evaluate the repairs when you get a property under contract? Do you even have to evaluate the repairs?
Absolutely, that's a
Okay.
good question,
Yeah.
because you have to understand what you're gonna pay for the property, how much
Right.
repairs it's gonna need, and then how much it's gonna sell for. And you have to also add in your fee if that's gonna be,
Right.
if you're a wholesaler. So, yeah, all those numbers make a big difference, and over time, you understand what repairs are. Like, I started as a 10% rule. If I bought a property for $400,000, I'm gonna add in $40,000 for repairs if I haven't seen the property, just so I have a number that I can add in there. Like 40,000, 10,000 for my fee, so 400,000. Now we're at 450. And if the property is worth 600, we have a deal for an investor. So then I can pass it on to an investor and then give it to them. If the deal is worth 550 and I'm paying 450 for it, I gotta negotiate a better price, or I gotta reduce my fee, which is, that's the last thing I wanna do, but, but we gotta get the deal done. I've made $2,000 on a deal because that month I was closing 6 deals. So the last $2,000 is just gonna be a bonus and helping people out, so.
Do you find that there's still opportunity for people to do wholesaling?
Man, there is so much opportunity. If I'm in this field, every one of you guys should be in this field. I don't know what you guys are waiting on. I guess it's just doing it. It's people say risk. Like she was saying, you gotta take risk. She took a risk with her 401k, with her retirement, which I applaud her for, because most people, they're scared to sell their home. Because the fear will get to them. But if they sold their home in an up market and made money, then they could take that money and invest it in something else and make more money. I mean, education and specialized knowledge is key in this industry. Like when he was talking about syndication, he was talking so fluently, but it was like gibberish to most of us, I'm sure, because he's knowledgeable and he can do that with his hands tied behind his back, so he can make money, and because he has that specialized
Actually,
knowledge.
you brought up a great point. I found that if you know something or one thing really well in life, it will carry through your entire life. You will never be left, without.
Absolutely,
Correct?
yeah.
And what if you were to attribute the single most important element to your success, what would that be?
Taking risks.
Taking risk.
Walking into a situation like this. I've never spoke before in front of this many people. But he asked me, thank you. Sam asked me, and I was like, of course, because I look up to Sam, and I applaud him for standing up here and speaking, and I was like, what do I have to lose? I mean, these people aren't going to fire me from anything, so why not? And now I have the knowledge where I feel like I can mentor someone else to get to the level that I'm at today, and that person will help me also, because with me mentoring that person, I'm going to be helping them close some deals. So I feel, it's going to help everyone. It's going to help that person succeed and get to their level, and it's going to help me get to my level also.
I forgot to tell you that public speaking is next to the fear of death is the most, second to fear of death only,
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I didn't tell you, otherwise you probably would.
I probably wouldn't be here.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, so Jeff, tell us a little bit about your future. Yeah, Gia, oh, that's right, Gia. Okay, go ahead, Gia.
I had a question for Amir. With your contract with the seller, the homeowner,
Yes.
did you have somebody to, did you custom your contract for the purchase and sale contract?
Yeah,
Okay, hold on. Before you answer, either you repeat the question or I repeat it.
Well, she's asking if I had to get the contract or manipulate the contract.
Not manipulate. She says, do you have to customize your purchase and sale contract to fit your specific needs?
I had one that was created for the person I worked for before,
Yeah.
and it's adjustable. The
How many
names
pages?
are adjustable, huh?
How many
It's
pages?
1 page.
Oh.
It's the easiest thing for a homeowner. A homeowner doesn't want to see a 10-page contract.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ours is 2 pages, so that's good.
That's
Yeah,
fine
yeah,
too,
yeah.
yes. 1 page or 2 pages is key, so it's very easy, self-explanatory, and most people say, you want them to sign it right there in front of you, you want to push them? Not with me. I'm going to give that to them and let them review it with their family, make sure that it's something that they want to do before they do it. And I'm going to be fair with everyone.
That's why you don't have
things
issues
a little
later.
different.
That's why you don't have issues later, because you're just easy going in the beginning. That makes a big
Correct.
difference. Who was anybody? Okay.
Question.
Yeah. What's your name?
Stacy,
Stacy. Go ahead.
question for Amir. Do you have a set group of investors, or are you always adding sort of new people to your group, or do you have like 10 people that you're working with all the time and that's sort of enough?
Do you have a set group of investors, a limited number of investors, or that you send your deals to, or do you continually add to it?
Well, I have a huge list of people that I talk with. It's like 600 people. Now, when I first started, that's all I did was just gather these buyers, gather these wholesalers, gather everyone that deals with real estate, because I didn't know who was a real buyer. Then I blasted my deals off to all these people, and they're gonna make themselves be known. The real investors will make themselves be known. And today, yeah, I have a group of about 15, 20 people that are buying all the deals, and I cannot satisfy all of them. So I need more people to find more deals so we can sell it to my investors, and we can all make money.
That's, okay, that's great. Do you, when you analyze the deal, how much profit are you going to leave in there for the investor to make it viable for them? Is that a percentage of the
Yeah.
transaction? What would that be?
Usually, I know what my investors want. First of all, some want 12% return on investment, some want 15, some want 20. They're gonna have to keep looking somewhere else. But, you know, most of the time I try to keep it between 12 and 15. Now, if someone's gonna pay higher amount for a property, like $1 million property, they want a little bit more return on investment because there's a lot more risk with more money. So you're gonna want a higher return on investment for a higher end property. But my main goal is properties in California between 300,000 and 600,000 because you can get more investors that can afford those properties.
So that's the range that you're actually pursuing, right?
I'm pretty, yeah, I
Between
do.
300,000 to 600,000.
Correct. In
Okay.
purchase, yes.
Questions, guys? Okay, go ahead. Andrew?
In your example, you said you buy a property for 400,000, you put 50 into it with your fee, and then you simply sell it to an investor, that you can get 600,000. So in reality, that's a 50%, under market from what the cost, whether if you add your fee, it's a 30% margin between what your costs are of rehabbing it, your fee, and what your wholesaling is.
Okay, but there's also a fee.
Hold on. So he's talking about, the margin of profit being too much, right? Andrew, you're saying it's a big margin of profit?
I'm trying to figure out what we should be looking for in seeking deals that make sense.
Well, you already know that, because we have the deal analyzer. So when he's just talking about the return on investment for every specific deal. For example, the $1 million property you talked about, okay? So when you say, let's say 20%, are you talking about your investor needs to make $200,000?
Absolutely.
20% of the acquisition?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm not adding all the fees in there. When I use that 400 example, I'm selling this property to him. I got it under contract for 400. I'm gonna sell it to him for 410,000. He's then gonna invest that 40,000 in repairs. Now that number is not a solid number. He could go to 50,000, he can go to 30,000, I don't know. But I'm gonna say 40. But then he has to pay fees when he sells that property. He has to pay broker fees, he has to pay agent fees, he has to pay escrow fees. He has to pay, like, we call it 10%,
A lot
you know?
of fees.
Yeah, we call it 10%, and so that's another 10% he's gonna add to his closing costs. So if he ends, at the end of the day, made 90,000, he did pretty good, you know. I mean, for a $400,000 investment, usually takes about 3 to 4 months, 6 months sometimes. So I mean, I want to make, and that's a big thing. I want everyone I sell a property to make money.
Amir, why
That's
did
very
you
important.
make a conscious choice to do wholesaling as opposed to flipping? Because based on what you're telling me, sounds like a whole bunch of these deals got a pretty good, nice margin of profit. Why do you then focus so much on wholesaling as opposed to actually flipping his property?
Good question, and this is a battle I battle with myself all the time.
Right.
Wholesaling is a no-brainer. If I invest in this property, I'm gonna have to have a hard money loan, I'm gonna have to carry this bill, I'm gonna have to invest my money in this property. It's stressful, I've done it before. I mean, it's not the easiest thing. You have to deal with contractors, you have to deal with agents, you have to deal with the home, you have to deal with so many things. And then when you put it on the market, it takes time for it to sell. It just doesn't sell like that. You're gonna have to list it, you're gonna have to negotiate prices, people are gonna come with lower prices, you're dealing with FHA lenders, you're dealing with appraisals. It's a headache. I'd rather make my money $10,000 in 7 days rather than make maybe $40,000 in 6 months. 100% I'm gonna take that $10,000 in 7 days. Every time.
Yeah, well, I can see that for you because you've got abundance of leads coming to you.
Correct.
But for a typical investor out there who just happens to get a
One
deal or
lead.
two every month,
Do
or every
fix that
couple of
property.
months.
That's your job.
Yeah.
You know, like some people are investors for their job. They come to me and like, give me I need a property because I don't have nothing I'm fixing.
right.
That's their job. So I understand that's their livelihood. My job is acquisitions. My job is to find that investor a new property. So my whole focus is on that. And then another thing, since my whole focus is on this acquisitions, it's hard for me to go run by a property and talk to a contractor here and there. I mean, I'm doing it now with my partner, you know, I'm property managing our properties, but, you know, it's 2 properties. I need to put my money in real estate because it's sitting in the bank. I don't want that, yeah.
Place to be.
So I will always be a wholesaler till the end, even when I'm a multi-millionaire one day, hopefully.
Because
And-
you found one thing that you know really well.
Correct, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, I have no investment in these properties. Sometimes I'll put a deposit of like $200 on a property and then cash a check 7 days later for $10,000.
Right.
So that's, forget a 12% ROI. Forget that.
Well,
you
the
know?
key issue is even the market changes, you're still gonna be able to do this.
That's
The
what
numbers-
everyone tells me.
The numbers will change.
Yes.
Okay, you know, but your profits probably gonna be even better. Right after the crash, 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, we made the most money on our rehabs. We made every deal that now we're making about 30, 40,000, we used to make 80 to $100,000. Because very few people were doing it, okay? Because, you know, the virtually no competition. Sellers were desperate to sell these properties. But right now, when everybody and their brother is doing it, of course, it's a hell of a lot tougher.
This is the only market I've seen, this
Yes.
up market since 2012, 13. And I've been doing so well, I'm kind of nervous about this market that everyone tells me I'm going to do better in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Yeah, but I have to take the advice. He's been through it.
That's a good one. I like that. I like that. Okay, that's good. Jeff, let me ask you a question. You've done some